My hope for this gathering today, but also the video that we'll put out, is that people will begin to connect these dots and make some sense of these experiences where in the early days when I started looking into this, I found there were many, many accounts where people would see a craft, or maybe it's not fully materialized, maybe it's just a sphere, and they'll think something and it'll react to the thought. And people go, how is it doing that? Was reading my mind. Well, I mean, it's not Kreskin reading your mind. There is a science of what I call coherent thought receivers and transmissions that can take place between transdimensional interstellar capable civilizations and humans. Now, we may not understand all the science, and I can't say I can go to a laboratory and build one of these things because I can't hook up my DVD player. Emily has to do that. I'm useless for that kind of thing. You know, he's like, nurse, or Emily, help. You know, but defibrillators great, and respirators and other stuff. No, computers, hurl them through the window. I'm all thumbs. But you know, we can understand it. So then, from an experiential point of view, from that paradigm, we can say, oh, I understand now how it is contact can be initiated, but also if it spontaneously begins to happen, how it begins to unfold and why it can be both physical and in thought and electronic and then in these other phenomena. I call it the epiphenomenon that happens, all the different manifestations of contact. For example, we're sitting out in the desert in the middle of an 800,000 acre park. There are no police around, there's no microwaves, there are no McDonald's, there are no big microwave ovens, and we have magnetic field meters and radar detectors and other things that aren't expensive, but that we have in our toolkit. And we're sitting there, and we'll see an object. It'll look like a flash bulb going off in space. It's just an object that turns on and turns off. And sometimes it'll move and turn on and turn off. And one time we had like 15 of them that were right above us doing this that we filmed. This actor actually came out with us near Palm Springs, and we did this. And then the detectors start talking. But they're making sounds that the people, if you contact the people who manufacture at the factory, go, these don't make these sounds. And they're actually doing trans-dimensional communication through the electronics. So forget the Arecibo telescopes and the SETI project spending hundreds of millions of dollars. You can go to Radio Shack, get a radar detector, a magnetic field meter, tri-field meter, and a couple other things, put that out, sit in meditative state, and then welcome them to come, and all kinds of things can start happening. And what is it? How do you interpret that, though? It becomes very intuitive. Because, and what we have found with some of our equipment, certain things will make certain tones. Like we have one radar detector we call Walter, because a man named Walter gave it to us. And it will do a certain type of beeping. It'll go beep, beep, beep 3 times, and only 3 times. Doesn't make the sound like you would with a cop car or a radar gun. Just when an object is about to appear. And then within moments, there'll be a sighting of an ET object. It'll beep, 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 and it means we are here. So you get into this flow, and they actually do what I call a trans-dimensional entrainment of the circuitry of your device. It gets customized after a period of weeks and months, years. And they really will communicate in ways that are quite mysterious, quite bizarre. People who come on these whole week thing expeditions with me, they go, what the hell is going on? I said, well, just listen and interpret for yourself. But there is a pattern to it that evolves. So you have objects that can materialize, objects that can be quasi-materialized, that are like the cobalt blue object at that Air Force Base. You can have spherical objects that will have the entities in them. You can have an object that appears and then dematerializes, and then all you hear is some voices speaking. You take a photograph, and there's this guy waving at you. This is why it's WSFM. Weird science and frickin' magic. And everyone is oriented towards very materialistic, linear, early 21st century manifestations, because that's what we want. And I'm saying, what a mistake. That's a huge mistake. Because what they're really wanting us to do is to understand their universe, their cosmos, and go partially into that. Because it's edifying. That's how you learn. You don't learn by having everything spoon-fed you at the level that you're already operating. Does this make sense? Hard lesson, because people are lazy. And humans tend to be kind of slovenly, mentally. It was a Yogananda that said it's the lack of spiritual adventuresomeness that keeps humanity back. So there's a sense of adventuresomeness and exploration, and these civilizations understand that we need to be kind of willing to step, while we're in this planet and in this dimension, step partially into their understanding of what it's like on their planet, where using thought to interface with an electronic device is as common a thing as we would be texting someone with our cell phones. But remember, a few hundred years ago in Salem, Massachusetts, if you had a smartphone, you'd be burned at the stake as a witch. It'd be witchcraft. It'd be magic. So that's why, if we're really looking at this, and instead of looking backward, if we want to look forward into where our civilization's headed, we need to take these lessons to heart and begin to practice it within that paradigm. And that's what we're encouraging people to do through these CE5 Close Encounters of the Fifth Kind teams.